Hey folks, I see that there is only one person online, and that's still awesome. Um, Welcome to the uh, last call uh, hangout for Wasteland Degenerates. Um, hey, Bolin. Oh, it's nice to see you. You're in the old jolly old England, right? You're so it's only it's like 7 p.m. for you. But anyways, yeah, very good, very good. I'm not keeping you up at until 1 in the morning anymore. I feel good about that. But if we don't have a lot of other people online, then I'm not sure how long this is going to last. But I'm going to hang out anyways. How are you doing, Bolin? Let's see. I'm looking at the options. I can put you in timeout. I don't want to do that. I can hide you. I don't want to do that. Don't want to remove, pin the message. No, no. All those seem fairly unnecessary at the moment. But I imagine on more active chats, you get jerks that need to be put in timeout. But anyways, let me just look to see where we are with our funding level while I'm here. Let's see. Pause that. 401 backers. That's awesome. $9,263. It's more than they ever expected us to get. But when I started this, I thought I was going to make 20K easy on the hardcover before I abandoned my hardcover dreams and decided to make the jumper cable edition. But given the turnout that we've had, not to this live stream, but to the crowdfunding in general, it's been, I probably could have done the hardcover and probably made, a decent amount of money on that as well. But it's not about the money. It's about making cool stuff for cool people. Anyways, yeah, glad to see it's a success. If I can make 9K on this, I should make 20 now that the word is out. Yeah. Um, you know, I'm on BackerKit now because, I heard that it was better for games and that it was easier and they took less in the way of fees. But you know, I've seen Kickstarters with half or less the amount of involvement and work that I've put into this. Make the same amount of money. There was one a couple weeks ago that was only about 50% funded with like $4,000 as of with like 11 days left. And in the last 11 days it made like $5,000, over half of what it had already made just from being on Kickstarter, I guess. Well, the Morkwork community did really chip in and help him get over the finish line, because his goal was like $8,000, and I would not have set my goal that high, I guess, just to avoid the possible heartache of a failed campaign. But I do feel a little bit silly setting my goal to $750, because even if we had just funded $750, it would have taken another year or so for me to pay for the remaining artwork that is necessary to get it going. Pay Matthew, what he's worth. Ithaqua Bane, what is that? I don't know what Ithaqua Bane is. I can look it up though. I've got all the power of the internet. Gaming YouTuber. Cursed by the Dice Gods. See earlier comment. If I can make $9,000, I should be able to make $20,000 now that the word is out. Is that what you mean? I'm not sure what you're getting at exactly. But when I'm live streaming, my IQ is usually about 30 points lower, so do not feel bad about that. I don't see another comment between 9K and Ithaqua Bane, so I'm not sure what's going on. Anyways, so we've got Ithaqua Bane. I'm just going to look up Ithaqua Bane because now I'm curious. Star Drifter, Wallet Dungeon. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't see anything about a reviewer besides that. Yes, they're. I wonder if your comment got eaten by typing too fast. I know some things have like an anti-spam filter, and if you type too many comments too quickly, it will like hold them. I could probably check on something like that, but I don't really know how easily. But yeah, Lone Adventure definitely checked out Into the Dismal Armory, and I'm going to very much send him the sequel, which is going to be released in the next, probably week or so, to Itch, Blood on the Bleak Roads, because I very much got a boost from Lone Adventure when he checked it out. I have not ever heard of Ithaqua Bane before, but I am now subscribing to their channel because any amount of publicity that I can get would be fantastic. I've actually had several interviews and stuff. You probably saw in the Would You Like to Know More section. Yeah. So Blood on the Bleak Roads, it is a car combat mini game, but it does not use the car combat grid. I decided not to go for that level of complexity with it, and the car combat is more like the car combat at the end of Into the Dismal Armory, where the monster just attacks the attacks the car first, and you get to use the car's superior guns. Um, However, there's nothing really stopping you from using the Wasteland Degenerates uh, car combat system once it gets released. I mean, the games are essentially compatible. I didn't want to tie people to a miniatures game if they're just doing a solo journaling thing. But I think that having your cars there would be pretty awesome just for the purposes of being inspiring you to roll dice better, because your cool little car is there. But yeah, not everyone has the awesome little Hot Wheels cars that you do. So I don't want to tie them down to needing to have those little cars, when they could just have them on paper. The new one is not as fiddly with the terms of like dimensions of rooms and whatnot. Um, Basically, you're driving from way station to way station, um, truck stops and fairgrounds and all that sort of thing, and trying to get home with your cool new car to the safe city, Arcady. Um, and there's various perils along the way. Um, I enjoyed writing it a lot, and I got a little bit crazy. And it requires Enter the Dismal Armory to play because it uses a lot of the same tables, like for enemies and for loot. But it also is actually longer than Entered the Dismal Armory, because there's so many like new things to add on to your vehicle. Like there's an entire auto shop section where you can mod out your car with scrap that you earn. So yeah, it'll be a good time. I think. I have not played through it myself, but I get a pretty good idea of how it's going to go just from Oh, okay, yeah. So have you been following the Tales from the Lore Dumpster? Because in the Tales from the Lore Dumpster, whenever Janet from marketing gets a mission, she's given thank you, that's good. She's given a bunch of information on where the mission is, and what she's trying to do. There we go. Where the mission is, what she's trying to do, etc. And every time I get to one of those spots, I'll roll the die and see what the mission generator says. And there are spots where I roll on other tables besides the mission generator. But like when I was creating the bonus party member Alexis Blackcutter, I rolled a bunch on the character creation tables for the baffled researcher to determine what her story was. But no, when she gets a mission and she's going and she finds there's she sees that there are mutants there. That's all part of the mission generator. So there's a bunch of steps. Let me just read off the steps for you, because it's easier that way. Mission generator is after the monsters. Okay. All right. So official job board of the apocalypse. The unfortunate wasteland scum are expected to do the shit jobs that civilized society pretends to be above. Whether in Arcadia City or Reaver's Row, unless you've got chips to spend, it won't be long before you need to get back out there. Check the old cork board and try to pick a job that won't kill you. Or maybe you're given a job that you can't afford to refuse. Use this generator to create work for the PCs. Go all random or pick and choose as appropriate. Reuse NPCs, enemies, institutions, and locations as possible, and connect to player character backstories whenever possible. So how this works is that you roll a d20 for the fixer to see who is contacting the player characters. I just rolled a 10, and that is a federal supervisor. So the players are contacted by a federal supervisor, for the federal remnants that are kind of, they're kind of deluded into thinking that the world hasn't ended. And then you roll to see who the client is. So the federal supervisor is reaching out to you on behalf of 16, a vehicle retrofitter. So this federal supervisor is reaching out to you on behalf of somebody who fixes up cars. And this already makes it sound like there's like a mechanic shop for the Federals that's trying to get parts or something. We'll see what's up with that. So then you try to figure out what the carrot is, what the players are actually doing this for. And let's see here, 6. So is it worth your time? They're offering an improved reputation. Basically, this federal supervisor is talking to you on behalf of a retrofitter, and it will improve your reputation if you do this job. It may not pay in cash, but federals have a lot of access to guns and vehicles, so it might be worth your while to do it anyways. If that didn't seem like a great reward, I could re-roll and get an 8. And that actually makes more sense because I rolled an 8, and that's a lightly used vehicle. So it is good to have powerful friends, but it actually might make more sense to get a lightly used vehicle out of it because it's a vehicle retrofitter. I don't want to tie anybody down to like quest results that don't make sense. So then you roll to see what the stick is. So if you refuse the mission, something might happen to you because you're degenerates. You're on the outside of society. You don't have a lot to recommend you. So let's see what they'll do to you if you refuse. 4. You'll be run out of town if you do not accept this mission. So doesn't seem great, right? You don't want to be run out of town especially by Federals, because they have a lot of guns and APCs and tanks and whatnot. Step 5 is the work, and we'll see what the vehicle retrofitter wants you to do. 3, murder. The vehicle retrofitter wants you to murder somebody. And we find out who that person is by rolling a d20 on step 6. 10, a witness. So yeah. So step 6 is the mark, and it has an item and a person. In this case, the target is either a hard drive of sensitive info or a witness. And so basically, you just kind of plug that in, because like there are other jobs like steal or stash or deliver, that would make more sense to be the hard drive. But in this case, since we're murdering somebody, it's going to be the witness. And then we're going to see what the location is. Let's see, number 1. Right. No, I love like the possibilities. I don't have any very much in the way of stats attached to this mission generator. It's more along the lines of getting you to think about what you want to be doing. But I rolled for the location. This witness is at a gas station, and that's kind of cool because I have in the hardcover that's upcoming, the adventure that's in the book is set at a gas station run by Federals. So this is kind of a funny coincidence here. Gas stations are still operative in the Wasteland. At least some of them are, because everybody has a cool hot rod, and everyone needs gas for their hot rod. So then we determine what the territory it's in. And I have kind of a example of each territory in parentheses on this table. So this is 3, a postalist bastion. So the postalists, are the religious extremists that evolved out of the United States Post Office. So the postalist bastion so this is a gas station run by postalists. And the example of a postalist bastion is in a parentheses, Stamp Town, which is where Janet is in her current adventure. The other options there are an independent town like Arcadia City, then a gas hog haven, Reavers Row, an Eisenclave, which is the corporate jerks that basically summoned the doom to the world with their capitalism. That one is called Halfdel, HALF space DEL, Halfdel. I think when I was writing that, I thought that they had half deleted the world. Then a scum infested derelict town, Black Sand Reach. That's where the Dismal Armory is. A graveyard industrial complex, which is called Golgotha Downs. A zombie-infested hellhole, which is Fargo. That's where the power plant was. Janet didn't see the zombies. She was at a power plant with mutants outside of town. A bombed-out or meteor-flattened city, like the capital. An overgrown area, the Red Forest. That's where the rift is, where the Earth is cracking apart. An uncanny zone, the second city. The uncanny zone is, or the second city is where the first expansion is going to be. That's going to be called Asphalt Dirge, DIRGE. And that will be an adventure that you can run after a TPK, because the player characters wake up on stretchers in the back of a semi. So that's fun. And then 11 to 12 on a D12 is unaffiliated Wasteland. So I just thought I'd describe all those because it's because there's a little bit of lore attached to all that. But in this case, they're going after a postalist bastion, and then step 9 is the mileage, which is a D10. One that is just across the river, so it's not very far at all. So whoever this federal supervisor was, they were risking a lot to meet you guys just across the river from Stamptown in the postalists. But that means that there's not a lot of gas expended on the way there. Step 10 is the opposition. You roll d20 to see who you're up against in this mission. 1, Eisenclave Mercs. So this is funny. So in this witness in a postalist bastion that the feds are trying to kill, is being guarded by Eisenclave Mercs. So that's the third faction in the Wasteland, the third major faction. So I'm thinking that the Eisenclave black-bagged a witness from Stamptown. The feds got wind of it and hired you guys to murder the witness before they can tell the Eisenclave something about, the postalist agenda. So I'm already liking where this is going because it's getting pretty political and complicated. Step 11 is the tricky part. So this is a D20. This is the job. Things aren't always straightforward. The job has 10 unexpected implications for a PC or a loved one. So at this point, you find out that the witness, could be, your player character's dad, or is somehow connected to the backstory of one of the players. And so, like, this is getting really, really messy at this point. You would have to you'd have to go into the backstories of all the player characters, because like every character gets a D6 roll on their class's backstory table to see, something interesting about them. So I would go back and see, does somebody have a cool hook that I could, link into there. So that's just like an added thing. So like, do you really want to murder this person if they're, attached to your character somehow? Anyways, so there's the final step is the sit rep. The conditions on the ground suggest there is an obvious feature, which is 7, that the place is actually kind of swanky. This gas station is really nice, and the begs the question of why this gas station is so nice. Is it actually just a gas station? Who knows? Then there's a concealed feature, hidden cameras. So you guys don't see it when you're first scoping the place out, but there's cameras everywhere. And like these other concealed features could be stuff like a sniper, like a mutant test subject strapped to the back table in the back room, some weird cult stuff, an entire extra guard squad, which is what Janet encountered in her last mission. There was a entire squad of postalist berserkers in the other room that she didn't know about. And a lot of other cool things that you can have. And then there's a final roll on the extra trouble table. 6. A space dust storm arrives mid-mission. So essentially, while you're in the middle of trying to execute this witness, uh, a space dust storm, and space dust is the stuff that causes mutations. They weren't very creative when they named it, but it's dust that comes from meteors. So what do you really want? Anyways, yeah. So like, if you're trying to hang out outside with a sniper rifle, trying to wait to see if you can find the witness to execute them, uh, you see this giant storm of radioactive rainbow dust blowing in from one of the directions, and you're like, oh, maybe I should get inside to avoid being mutated or dying of radiation poisoning. So yeah, that is the mission generator. That's the end of the mission generator. It sets up all of the aspects of the adventure, but doesn't tell you how to play them out. If you're playing solo, you're going to have to make some adjudication, and kind of figure out how you would need to deal with each individual circumstance on that table. So does that satisfy your curiosity, Bolin? Anyways, yeah. So, do you have any other questions right now? Let me look to see where we're at. We got another backer, and we're up to $9,298 with 3 days left. I'll tell you. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I don't like playing solo games myself. Like, it just doesn't really do much for me. But I can understand why people do like it, and I have a pretty good idea of how things would play out. Uh, Other viewer, do you have any questions? I will say that we did very well a few days ago, because we got backed by Exalted Funeral, the big time indie distributor, and they have they had a mailing list of 51,000 people for a project that they created a couple years ago. And I think in one day I gained $1,300 just from those folks. So I was I was pretty happy about that. I had been talking to Exalted Funeral for a while. I had mentioned my game to my contact with Exalted Funeral, and was saying, hey, do you guys want to maybe produce my game? And they were like, yeah, we'll get back to you, and they never did. I don't think that they were trying to blow me off. I just think that they were busy. And finally, when I decided I was going to self-publish, and I opened up the crowdfunding, and I made I went to 400% backed on the first day, and I reached out to them again, and they were like, yeah, we'll back how about 25 copies? I'm like, well, my my pledge tiers can't handle 25 copies yet. So let me let me go fix that. But then I didn't hear from them again, and I think they just got busy again. So I reached out again and like, hey, I'm over 800% funded. Are you guys still interested in 25 copies? And they were like, oh yeah, hey, and so they backed me, and then all of their backers started rolling in because Exalted Funeral is a big time distributor of Morkborg games. So it was good timing. Let's just put it that way. Let's see. You only play solo because you don't have many players near you unless you want to play Games Workshop games. I get that. I've been to Scotland twice, and their game stores are not especially. Their game stores are not especially good if you're not into Warhammer 40,000. And I like Warhammer 40,000, but I stopped playing like 20 years ago because I really wasn't all that interested in the game mechanics or the kind of players that get very, very competitive about Warhammer 40,000. I got kind of tired of my painstakingly painted and lovingly, lore described Space Marine army getting utterly stomped by the newest Tyrannid Codex, base coat only army, rack upon rack of Tyranids or Space Wolves. Those at the time, Space Wolves were the big deal, that got pretty old. So I ended up giving my army away to my friend, who then left them with one of his friends, and I haven't really forgiven him for that because I had spent so much time painting them. I wanted my friend to have them, not his friend. Anyways, yeah, so well, we made 37 minutes, which is pretty good for only having 2 people in the chat. And I'll tell you, I'm going to probably spend a fair amount of time on Wednesday. Is Wednesday the 10th? Yes, Wednesday is the 10th. I have the whole day off work. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be live streaming through the end of time. Basically, they have this overtime mode so that if more people pledge after the within 10 minutes of the end of the campaign, it'll extend for another 10 minutes. And I saw Outgunned Adventure, which is also on BackerKit. They went for something like 3 hours in overtime mode, and I say what you want about Outgunned. I personally find it to be plagiaristic garbage, but their fans were pretty dedicated, and they kept them going for several hours after they were supposed to shut down. So props to that. Anyways, thank you, Bolin. Thank you, unnamed other person that I haven't figured out how to determine yet. But I will catch you guys on the flip side, and have a great day. May your letters always be sorted correctly. In the name of the deliverer herself, she has shipped from the sorting facility. Amen. Deuces.